Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for another video. As you can see from the title, we're looking at spending 1 Ethereum on Sorare, which is equivalent to about 1,300 Great British pounds at the moment in time, so keep that in mind. Now this isn't going to be real terms, this is more imaginary kind of stuff. Looking at spreadsheets, looking at Sorare data, and how I would kind of take Sorare if I was starting with 1 ETH today. Now obviously I appreciate not everyone will have 1 ETH to go up and spend when starting Sorare, so this is more maybe for higher budget managers. I have done a video on starting Sorare with £50, so make sure you check that out. That link just right above me once you watch this video as well. So yeah, 1 Ethereum we got to spend, which is about £1,300. I'm going to take you through my strategy, so it's not financial advice, so keep that in mind, do your own research. There might be better ways of doing it, possibly trading, so having 1 Ethereum and just solid trading on the game, so playing no SO5s and literally just trading your way on Sorare. But the one I'm going to talk about today is playing a bit of the game, doing a little bit of trading, some money left over, but it's kind of getting straight into rares, a few limited cards. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. The most obvious strategy could be going out there and buying 5, 6, 7 really top end limited cards. As you can see on the screen, there's 5 world class cards there, costing you under just under 0.8. Now this is a good strategy to have. However, in my opinion, you want to be competing in rare as quick as possible. Just because, as you know, those that do play Sorare, limited cards, 1,000 cards over the next 12, 24 months, limited competitions. Of course, the rares and super rares are as well, and get more competitive. Obviously, there's more cards minted, more managers during the game, at a limited level first of all. It's going to be harder to win those top end prices, in my opinion. So the quicker you can get into rares or super rares, if you're playing at rares at the moment, the better. Now, obviously, if you want to enjoy the game, buy 5 top end players and play for fun. These players you're going to know every single game week. Should hopefully know when they're going to be playing on weekend. Obviously, you're playing FPL for likes of Trent and Fernandez, etc. You can go buy a Premier League team. So if you're playing for fun, not necessarily return on investment, this is an amazing strategy. And as you can see, it's won tier 0 before here in game week 3, 4, 7 and a tier 1. So I'm not knocking this at all. I'm just saying, in my personal opinion, this wouldn't be my first choice strategy if I was starting with 1 Ethereum today. So that brings us nicely onto what I would do with 1 Ethereum starting to rare today. Now, as you can see, we're jumping straight into rare Europe. We will move on to limited shortly, but we'll just kind of go diving straight into rares. We're going to be playing straight from the off. We want to be playing straight away now in the European seasons, earning hopefully some threshold, some card rewards. We're talking about an MLS team in a moment as well, and the reasons behind that. But as you can see, I've gone for 1 goalkeeper, so I kind of done some stages. So a goalkeeper, 0.2 ETH. You can find plenty of goalkeepers in this region. Again, these aren't players I'm recommending go buy out straight away. This is just my kind of recommendations. This is about half an hour, 45 minutes research. So again, do your own research on these players in different leagues. But again, one of my top tips is to kind of focus on 1 league, maybe 1 or 2 leagues, the max. So as you can see, I've gone for a full Turkey kind of team here. So including 1 goalkeeper, 2 defenders, 2 midfielders just below that, and the last 2 are forward cards. Now, they're not the best players in the world, they're not the best players in that division, but you're on a budget. And of course, with cap 240 as well, you do need players that aren't amazing, hitting high scores all the time. You want some low kind of budget players in terms of scoring and obviously money wise. Another tip as well, you need reserves. So as you can see, I've left that space open. We'll come to that at the end towards the video, to be honest, but you probably do need more than such players. There's 7 players on there, so you do need more than 7 players in cap modes. Now, if you can't, get in that cap 240, you can obviously play as an all-star or challenger, wherever you kind of prefer, or cap 270 as well, wherever you kind of prefer playing this sort of team. But that's step 1 in my opinion. Kind of focus on 1, 2 leagues maximum. I've gone for 1 league here. Try the defensive stack, so no Halton, and I think it's Balsi play for the same team. Alnaspor, I think it is. Again, I might be completely wrong with that. So a defensive stack does help as well. Keep in mind, this won't hit the cap every single game week in terms of hitting the 250 scores or being on that 240 kind of threshold as well. So keep that in mind. So you do want some low budget players as well in your reserve. So going out and spending 5, 10, 15 pounds on players that don't hit amazing scores, you can fit them to budget teams. And as I mentioned before, If not, you've got a team to put an all-star challenger cap 270 at the same time as well. So you've kind of got out there, you brought the European team. The next thing to do, in my opinion, at this moment in time especially, is to buy an MLS team. The reason behind it is because players are absolutely incredibly cheap at the moment, undervalued in my opinion, especially in the rare market. And again, I've done the same thing as I've done for Europe as well. One goalkeeper, two defenders at the top there, two midfielders, and then two forwards. Again, you will need more, so there's more reserves here. And as you can see, this is kind of a rough guide. This was done yesterday, so I'll double check on Sorare data with you guys in a moment as well. But we're spending just under 0.7 of our budget just on 7 players from each region, so 14 players in total. Again, as I keep mentioning, you will need more players in this, especially in the cap 240. And these are just players that I've picked off half an hour, 45-minute research. So do your own research. And again, I've gone for a defensive stack. Now, there's some crossovers for the season, so it's such like now where European and MLS are playing together. So you will get elements where you can kind of put these, Helton, for example, with Pablo Ruiz in a lineup to try and hit the, get under that cap 240 sort of point mark. So there is elements of that during the season, but you've got, a European, team as well as an off-season American League, which, you could sell when MLS comes back if prices do rise. That's another option as well. But personally, if you want to play, Sorare all year round, earn that Ethereum, that threshold, every single game week, this, in my opinion, is a great strategy. And MLS at the moment in time, the season is ending in a month or two time, but the prices at the moment are so undervalued for some players. It's definitely, for a return on investment point of view, what this video is all about, MLS is definitely up there in buying, in terms of buying at this moment in time. Just a couple of small tips before you actually go out there and buy a player. So you've been out there, you've done scouting, you've got players in mind from player rankings, card finder, or you've been watching a player, or however you do your research. Before you go out there, press buy. Is very two small tips. What some people don't do on my Twitch community is literally copy and paste that player's name into Sorare Football on Discord. Now, don't take it all, obviously do your own research on the side, but you might get someone that follows that club, follows that team, will have a strong opinion on the player. Again, you can change your mind from that. You can follow that. It's entirely up to you and do your own research. Another way of doing it is my favourite way is go on Twitter and just pasting their name on Twitter as well. You might see transfer links. You might see fans absolutely slating a player or saying how good they are. Little story about a year, about 18 months, 2 years ago now. I was scouting a player. I can't remember his name, to be honest. It was a long time ago. I checked on Discord and I checked on Twitter, and the fan base of that team for that player were absolutely slating him. He's a decent Sorare scorer. He's playing well on Sorare, playing 90 minutes, etc. And about 2 months later, he got dropped. And I can't remember the player's name now, and I don't think he ever got back to that sort of form or that sort of price. So always do your own research. Again, on each player, I use Discord and Twitter as a main two, especially Twitter as well, and following fans, forums, etc. That team. Again, some fans will have interesting opinions. I have opinions of my football team. I'm sure other fans will have different opinions on the same player. So, do your own research. Watching the eye test as well is nothing better than that. Just a couple of tips, especially for transfer rumors at the moment in time with Saudi Arabia, etc. The MLS is always quite difficult to predict. So, a couple of tips there that I would recommend before you actually go out there and purchasing a player. And the last part of the strategy is moving on to limited cards, but only do this once you are ready and you feel your rare teams, you've got a few reserves in here, you are comfortable with your rare teams, you're comfortable playing it either cap 240 all-star, you've got 2 or 3 more reserves in here, an extra midfield, extra forward or defender that's got really low cap, didn't cost you much. So as you can see, this team here is costing just under 0.7. For easy, this will just say 0.7. For this rare team. This budget here is limited cards included, but this one here, it's a 0.7. I would say another 0.1 at least for a few reserves. So at 0.8, leaving us with 0.2 left for limited. But again, I can't stress this enough. make sure your rare teams is, you're comfortable, you're happy, you've got a few less players, you've got a few European cards, and you're happy to kind of rotate and swap players around. So moving on to limiteds now, there's kind of two options in my opinion for this kind of strategy. The first option is buying just 10 limited cards, no more than 10 limited cards, just because, as you know, the semi-pro league only can enter this with semi-pro, so with 10 limited cards. So managers that have 11 plus limited cards, doesn't matter how big the gallery is, doesn't matter how much limited cards cost, cannot enter this league. Another strategy would be to enter, a couple of rares. So this is just a Premier League example. I'd pick another league and have two, or maybe just one, depending on how much you go into depth with your rare cards, and literally having, one or maybe two rare teams. So kind of going a bit more depth. And as you can see, if you can get a cap 240, now appreciate, again, as I mentioned in the rare, you do need more than just 5 players. So this might be a bit of fun. It doesn't cost you too much, 0.03. Again, do this very last if you can just about afford this. But this bit here is not essential in this kind of strategy. So just jumping into rares and semi-pro, so the pro and semi-pro leagues, you'll just about see here on just across my left hand side. This is for semi-pro. So managers like myself can't enter this. So again, as mentioned before, people with 11 limited cards or more cannot enter this league. So just under 6,000 entered this competition with the prize pool at 200 limited cards. But surprisingly, the pro, which I can enter, which all managers can enter, there's only 4,100 entering this one with the same amount of card rewards. So, look at that. I'll be tempted to play more in the pro division. And of course, in the pro, you only need 4 limited cards and then 1 common card. So obviously, well, maybe not obviously, your common card is your goalkeeper, just because the goalkeepers are the most expensive card on Sorare. So as I did in that spreadsheet just a moment ago, you want your 4 limited cards to be outfielders and then 1 common goalkeeper. So make sure you do your drafts, etc. You have a really good common goalkeeper. So in my opinion, if I was to do this strategy right now, I'll be swaying more towards a pro league, going for, I live in England, I follow the Premier League, so I'll be buying 4 limited cards from the Premier League as well. Maybe having 1 really good limited player, so your captain does score 50 points. So as we can see from the spreadsheet here, maybe Casemiro is probably the best scorer in terms of these 4 players here. Maybe Mark Gahey, or maybe depending on the fixtures as well. Maybe go out there and buy one really good limited card you can put in here and captain every single game week in the pro mode. Again, just keep in mind, I do believe on the pro there is a max kind of cap you can have in here. Let me just double check. Yeah, 270 point cap. So keep that in mind as well, guys, when you're building this out. You've kind of got 2 options. Again, this is just my opinion. Semi-pro league, buying max of 10 cards, you're limited to 10 cards, or going straight for the pro, buying 1, if you grew up, watching La Liga, for example, buy a La Liga team, or, Premier League in my instance, having 2 really good pro leagues, and again, if you can, get the cap 240 out, but again, I can't stress this enough, this bit here, go all out for your rares. So if you reach your budget with the 1 ETH and your rare cards, so be it. If you've got a little bit of spare, or you start winning thresholds, etc., there is return on investment in the semi-pro and the pro divisions in limited, in my opinion. Of course, the threshold will take you maybe a year to get. So that's kind of still good in my opinion on returns on investment. But the pro league, all it takes is 1 week. Same for any competition, to be honest, especially in the semi-pro and pro, because you haven't put too much money aside on Sorare. All it takes is 1 week to get a star like a Salah, for example, or Haaland, and you've made your money back, instantly, basically. Hope that's been useful, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this video. Again, this is just my opinion on my strategy. You might listen to another YouTuber or another content creator who'll be saying something completely different, to go out there and buy 10 limited teams in Champ, Challenger, Asia, under 23, for example. I'm not knocking that strategy. This is what I would do if I was starting Sorare today. As I mentioned, that 1 ETH, which equates to £1,300. So yeah, guys, if you have enjoyed the video and you have kind of learned something from it, or any suggestions, let me do know in the comments below. Drop it a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you on the next one.